Like many others around the world, 18-year-old Marina Pearl Boelter was planning to attend a New Year's Eve party in 2014. She had spent the day working at the deli counter of the Bloomfield IGA grocery store in Bloomfield, Indiana, which is now a Dollar General. Marina finished her shift around 6 p.m.
After Marina finished her shift, she called up Toby Deem to make plans for that evening.
At that same moment, she walked outside of the store and she happened to run into her ex, a man by the name of Jay Lockhart. Now, Toby Deem was someone she was actually having an affair with, so she quickly got off the phone with him to talk to DJ. DJ offered her a ride home because she did not have a way to get home after her shift. But she said, "No, I don't want to ride with you." At that same moment, she happened to see one of her regular customers here, and he said, "Well, I'll give you a ride." She said, "Yeah, I'm going to get a ride with him." DJ argued this and said, "You shouldn't get a ride with him," but she did anyway. She walked right over here with him to this gravel parking lot where he was parked. They got into the car together. They took off down the road. Marina has never been seen again. This is Twisted Crimes.
Marina was born on July 15th of 1996 to her parents John Boelter and Tressie Palmer. In an interview on the Unfound podcast, Tressie shared she loved Little Mermaids and she wanted to name her daughter Ariel, after the character from The Little Mermaid. However, John hated the idea, insisting they weren't naming their daughter after a fish.
Marina had lots of brothers and sisters. Her mother, Tressie, said she had 2 daughters with John, Marina, and her older sister, Faith. John had 3 other children, and Tressie had 4 more, making for a total of 9 kids between them. Tressie and John separated at some point, and Marina went to live with her father in Ohio until she was around 14 years old. She then moved to Indiana to live with her mother.
Tressie said that Marina loved writing poetry and kept a journal throughout her life. Tressie also said, like for her whole life, she's kept a journal from the beginning when she could first start writing.
Marina was an honor student while living with her father in Ohio, but after moving to Bloomfield, Indiana, she struggled in school and eventually decided to drop out. She quickly earned her GED. Sometime after moving to Bloomfield, Marina met Douglas Jay Lockhart, also known as DJ. The two began an on-again, off-again relationship, and in July of 2013, the same month Marina turned 17, she became pregnant.
Marina's sister, Faith Boelter, said on the Murder with Marina podcast, "When she was pregnant, she called me. I had to take her to the hospital. DJ had grabbed her and thrown her into the entertainment center. And so she had I'm not sure if she fractured, tore something with her arm. She had a sling on for a while. But there were some drug issues in their relationship, like synthetic spice. And I'm not saying that caused anything, but that created a lot more trauma in their relationship, definitely." On the same podcast, Marina's sister-in-law Ashley Boelter said about DJ, he was very, very, very controlling, very much a jealous, short-tempered hothead. And it's like, even if he didn't want her, no one else could have her. It was very much one of those situations.
Marina gave birth to a baby boy named Landon on April 27th of 2014. She was 17 at the time, and DJ was the father. She had already started applying to schools, hoping to earn a culinary degree and eventually become a pastry chef. In the meantime, she took a job in the deli department at the Bloomfield IGA, starting in the summer of 2014. In August of 2014, according to Uncovered.com, when Landon was just 4 months old, Marina was hanging out with her sister Faith, along with Faith's boyfriend and some other family members. Faith and her boyfriend got into a fight, during which someone threw something that struck Landon in the head, causing a traumatic injury and a brain bleed. Marina's grandfather was also hurt in the altercation. 2 or 3 days later, doctors discovered that he too had suffered a brain bleed as a result of the fight.
However, Faith shared a different version of events during an interview on the Murder with Marina podcast. She explained that she had obtained guardianship of Landon in May 2014. During that time, while working at a nightclub, she would pay her cousin $20 a night to babysit Landon while she was at work. She said, and then I had picked him up from the babysitters, and he had like a red mark on the side of his head. And it was about 3:30 in the morning because, like I said, it was a nightclub. So first thing in the morning, I had taken him to the doctor, his pediatrician. And for that reason, they instantly removed him from me until further notice, saying that they couldn't prove that it had happened in my care. Faith shared that she hired an attorney for $3,500 to fight for custody of Landon. She said, "We went into the first hearing for the court. It all went good, and we were going to have one more hearing, and then hopefully from there I was going to have him back because I had some significant evidence from photos of dropping him off at the babysitters from the time I picked him up, showing those times. Everything that showed that that could not have happened in my care, and I had taken him straight to the doctor." After Landon's injury, the Department of Children's Services conducted a drug test on Faith, which she failed. According to her mom, Tressie, cocaine and Suboxone were found in her system. Since she was already on probation, Faith believed she would be sent to jail. Instead, she decided to leave Indiana. She said, "So I sold everything I owned, and I went on the run. I was scared." At the time, Landon was in foster care.
Around that time, Marina had apparently turned to close family friend Toby Deem for comfort and financial support, and at some point they began an affair together. Toby was married and significantly older than Marina. He had been friends with Tressie since her pregnancy with Marina. Tressie said she even let Toby touch her stomach and feel Marina kick while she was pregnant with her. This building is now a business, but back in 2014, it was divided up into a few apartments. Sometime in December of that year, Toby rented out apartment B for Marina, and she moved in. Toby lived on Railroad Street, just a 5-minute walk from Marina's apartment. He owned a local business called Demon Cycle. On New Year's Eve, Marina showed up for work as usual. She had already told her mom that she would not be attending the family's New Year's Eve party because she was planning to hang out with Toby at his house, where his wife would also be present. Thanks to Toby helping her secure an apartment, Marina was set to regain custody of her son in just 2 days. Tressie told the Unfound podcast that she stopped by the IGA and spoke with Marina that afternoon. She noted that Marina seemed distracted, neither angry nor confused, just preoccupied. Tressie hugged her daughter, told her she loved her, and left. She would never see her daughter again. Marina got off work around 6 p.m. and immediately called Toby to discuss the party that evening. As she was walking out the door, Toby heard her say, "Oh, expletive, it's DJ." She quickly ended the call with Toby, who later mentioned that he never spoke to her again. DJ tried to convince her to come to a party with him that night instead of going to the party at Toby's house, leading to a heated argument. At that moment, she spotted a regular customer who offered her a ride. Although his name has never been released by the police, it was revealed on the Murder with Marina podcast that his name was Brian Pearson.
Ashley Boelter said on the podcast, she got in the car with this other man. I have been told that he, DJ, went around to the other side and was trying to rip his door open, like by the handle, and that they drove off. So I mean, it was definitely not a calm situation. It was not just a, okay, fine, you have fun, Happy New Year, or anything like that. It was very much the case that he was ticked. That she told him no and then proceeded to get into a vehicle with another guy. The party at Toby's house took place as planned. A guest who attended the party later reported that Toby kept asking someone to call Marina to check on her, but each attempt went straight to voicemail. Toby did have a key to Marina's apartment, which makes sense because he was the one who had got the apartment for her. The next day, Marina did not show up for her shift at work, which was very unusual for her. It was so unusual that her boss actually started driving around town trying to find her, checking both her apartment and her grandfather's house. It did not take long for her boss to report her missing. Police began looking into it, and of course wanted to talk to the man who had given her a ride home that night. but they did not know who he was. So they went to the media for help, releasing information about the man and the car he was driving.
The Greene County Daily World newspaper wrote, Boelter was last seen on New Year's Eve, getting into what's been described as a 4-door, 2009 through 2011 Mercury Milan, near the Bloomfield IGA. The vehicle's color has been reported as everything from silver to beige, even gold in color. The Mercury has multi-spoke rims, a spoiler, and a Bluetooth or cellular shark fin antenna on top. Investigators also now have an unknown person of interest in the case. The person has been reported as the driver of the Mercury and has been described as a white male in his 40s or 50s and heavy set. The male was also said to have been wearing glasses. About 3 weeks later, police found that man and brought him in for questioning. Although they did not release his name at the time, he was later identified by his ex-wife as Brian Pearson. Brian told police he had given Marina a ride to this pizza place, which was closed down at the time. It is right across the street from where Marina's apartment was. He said he assumed she did not want him to know exactly where she lived, so that's why she asked him to drop her off here. When police asked him why it took 3 weeks for him to come forward, he said that he did not want to get caught up in the situation, as he had a criminal record. He thought Marina had simply run off and would return soon. However, after 3 weeks, he decided it was best to talk to the police. He was given a lie detector test and then let go.
On the Murder with Marina podcast, Brian's ex-wife Ashley said he liked younger girls. She recalled an incident a couple years before Marina went missing when one of his nieces was playing on his phone and discovered an inappropriate message from a teenage girl. Concerned, she handed the phone to her mother. Ashley said, "We found hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of incidents where he was talking to very young girls trying to get pictures, and he was posing as a photographer in exchange for money or alcohol or even drugs sometimes to get them to send them pictures. And so she got a hold of me, and of course he's freaking out. And like, don't believe it, don't believe it. And it was right there in front of me." She said that she met with a detective and gave him the laptop. Police searched the laptop and found 357 inappropriate pictures of children on it. She said some of them were as young as 2 years old. Ashley said not long after that, all these girls started coming to me. Or like if I just happened to be talking to somebody, they'd say, "Oh, I know him, and he was trying to get me to do this." He lived on a dead-end road, where at the end of the road is White River. He would take them down there.
Police also searched for video footage from local businesses, but they could not find any that showed Marina. This is a very small town. Several of the businesses near Marina's apartment were shut down at the time, and others that were open, including the IGA, did not have cameras installed. Police also tried to find Marina's cell phone records, but were having trouble getting them. So Tressie said she took things into her own hands and drove to Walmart. She headed to the electronics section and got the manager to call the company Marina got her phone from, and then the police were able to get access to her phone. They found the final ping from her phone had been about 10 minutes after she got off work, near the pizza place where Brian claimed he had dropped her off. Tressie said that when police arrived to check Marina's apartment on New Year's Day, they found her door unlocked, but her apartment was clean and in order. They noted that there were no signs of a struggle inside. Additionally, the clothes Marina wore to work that day have never been found, suggesting she never changed into different clothes for the party that night.
Tressie told Unfound if she made it into her apartment, she wasn't there even long enough to change her clothes or anything, because when she comes in, she just starts taking stuff off from the front door to her bedroom. Just boom, boom, boom. Tennis shoe here, tennis shoe there. I guess this is my little tornado. So there wasn't that string of clothes that proven that she had changed clothes from work. She was still wearing what she wore from work, which they sold different fried foods there and sup. So I know that my daughter would have wanted to change before she went to the party she was going to go to, so that didn't happen. Based on this information, it seems she never made it back to her apartment. There are several possibilities. Either Brian did something to her, someone followed them and grabbed her after he left, or someone was waiting for her and took her once he departed. Tressie said that the only items missing from Marina's apartment were what she was wearing, her purse, her phone, and all of her journals. Tressie also said, and I didn't realize until later on that the cops had the only thing missing was what she was wearing, her purse, and her phone. But there's something else that was missing as well. That's a journal. I got no journals back from her apartment. It wasn't a single one. Not even just little things written down in notebooks.
Let's now talk about DJ Lockhart. Police, of course, needed to question him, and they did. They also gave him a lie detector test, which he passed. DJ was furious that Marina was seeing a married man and chose to go to his party for New Year's Eve instead of hanging out with him. However, Tressie said she never thought DJ had anything to do with Marina's disappearance. She said he was hanging out with 3 other guys in the IGA parking lot when he confronted Marina, and she said he was not the driver of the car they were in. One of his buddies was. Tressie also said that all 4 boys voluntarily talked to the police, and they all told the same story, meaning they would all have to be lying for DJ to be the one who took Marina. According to his family, DJ spent weeks searching for Marina after she vanished. On the evening of February 12, 2015, as part of his search, DJ took a female friend with him and headed to this house. It was the home of Michael A. Rogers at the time. Greene County Prosecutor Jared Holtzclaw said in a news release that DJ was here so he, quote, could confront Rogers over Rogers's prior relationship with Lockhart's, DJ's, ex-girlfriend, Marina Boelter, end quote. The female friend who was with DJ that evening said she told him to not confront Michael, but he headed up to Michael's house anyway, while she waited outside. According to the Herald Times Online, when DJ got inside the house, he attacked Michael, punched him in the head, knocked him on the kitchen floor, and climbed on top of him. During the fight, a knife was knocked onto the floor. Michael reached over and grabbed it, then he stabbed DJ in the chest with the knife. Michael got up and called 911 right away while he was applying pressure to DJ's wound. DJ died from the knife wound. His obituary states he spent the last month and a half looking for his girlfriend, Marina Boelter. Only one other apartment in this building was rented at the time Marina disappeared. The person who was renting that apartment was a man by the name of Vernon Gale Briner. According to the Chicago Tribune, in May of 1976, Vernon was a part-time security guard and student at Aurora College in Aurora, Illinois. On Friday morning, May 21st, 1976, Vernon was working his security job, patrolling the men's dormitory. 25-year-old mother of 2, Ann Elizabeth Walsh, was also a security guard who worked with Vernon at the time. Around 8 a.m. that day, another employee found Ann lying dead in a pool of blood in the security office. She had been killed by Vernon Briner. He spent the next 36 years in prison and was released on July 13th of 2012. So this is just crazy. A convicted murderer was living in the same apartment building as Marina the day she vanished. Police questioned Vernon and said his alibi checked out. He was at work during the time Marina went missing. As a result, he was moved far down on the list of potential suspects. Given that this is a small police department that does not handle many missing persons cases, we can only hope they thoroughly investigated Vernon. This woman he murdered was not much older than Marina was when she went missing. He could have easily seen Marina get dropped off at the pizza place and quickly walked over to grab her. Perhaps he was on a break from work or had snuck out for a while. He might even have tied her up in his apartment and held her there while he finished his work shift. Vernon is a very strong suspect in this case, and simply saying he was at work does not really clear him unless there is actual proof he was there during the 6 to 7 p.m. time frame.
According to his Facebook page, Vernon seems to have moved on with his life just fine. He still lives in Bloomfield, and he works as a material handler at Metal Technologies, Inc. In 2015, he married a woman by the name of Sandra Wall, and he clearly enjoys spending time with children whenever he gets the chance. As a side note, if you choose to date or marry a convicted murderer, then that is your choice as an adult. But please do not bring children into such a situation. They are not making that choice. You are. And you may be putting them in a potentially dangerous situation. Tressie continued to search for Marina by participating in multiple media interviews and managing a Facebook page dedicated to her daughter. Then on December 30th of 2015, she walked 15 miles to raise money for a billboard for her daughter. She wore her daughter's shoes during the walk. The billboard was put up on Highway 54 in Greene County, and it stayed up for many months. According to a Herald Times article, Tressie even took it upon herself to track down and speak with potential suspects. She said, "I told the detective, and he told me to be careful because some of these people are not the nicest people."
She struggled with substance abuse issues, and whether due to that, her heartbreak over losing her daughter, or a combination of factors, she sadly passed away in March of 2021 at the age of 46. Toby Deem is still apparently living in the same house in Bloomfield and continues to operate his business, Demon Cycle. We were unable to find any legal issues on his record. When the Bloomfield IGA shut down, the merry-go-round that had been outside the store for many years was put on the auction block. Brian Pearson started a campaign to save it, citing fond memories of riding it as a child. He believed it should remain in the community for children to enjoy for years to come. To raise funds, he started a GoFundMe account and successfully gathered enough money to save the merry-go-round. However, it remains unclear where it ended up after he got it. Brian died on July 1st of 2021 at the age of 46. According to Ashley, he had been a heavy drinker for many years, and he passed away due to liver issues. According to Uncovered.com, Marina's case is still considered open, but it is now very much a cold case. Authorities have shared that no new leads or significant tips have emerged in Marina's case over the past several years, and her disappearance remains unsolved. Marina is between 5 feet and 5 feet 3 inches tall, weighing approximately 95 to 120 pounds. At the time she went missing, her blonde hair was dyed a reddish brown. She was last seen wearing a purple and black plaid jacket, jeans with rhinestone accents on the pockets, and pink and white Nike sneakers. Marina also wore a cross necklace and carried a purse decorated with the iconic Philadelphia Love statue image. She has pierced ears, a small scar on her lip from a piercing, and a star and butterfly tattoo on one foot.
We've now reached the point in the video where we're going to discuss our own thoughts and opinions on this case, starting with Heather.
I'm going to go back to the guy who gave her a ride home. Sure, he passed the lie detector test, but as we know, they're not always reliable.
I agree with you. I think he's the most likely suspect in the situation. He drops her off, according to him, right near her house, takes off. He's got a record. He's done things, abduction and assault, that could very well line up to exactly what would have happened in this case. It was an opportunity for him, a crime of opportunity if he's the one, because he's here at the store. He's a regular customer. He knows her. She somewhat trusts him enough to get in the car with him and take a ride with him, and then he's got her alone in his vehicle, and perhaps he just at that point could not help himself and move forward to abducting her, perhaps murdering her and dumping her somewhere. That would be the most likely scenario. Of course, there are 3 other legitimate suspects in this case. Any one of them could also be guilty of a crime here. We just don't know, and hopefully this will be resolved at some point in the future. Thank you so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you next time.